Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, Nema dismissing rumors on Grand Bahama. Calls for accountability in hurricane relief spending. Could there be one less Junkanoo parade this year? And we hit the track with an Olympic medalist. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, during the days and weeks following the passage of Hurricane Matthew, there have been lots of rumors and speculation, even on the island of Grand Bahama, said to be the hardest hit island. Our news correspondent Nina Lang spoke with officials on that island who are now addressing a number of claims they dub are false.
Since Hurricane Matthew's passing, local Nema representatives have come under fire for allegedly exploiting the agency for personal gain. However, Family Island Administrator for the National Emergency and Management Agency, Preston Cunningham, claimed this notion is mere speculation.
Yes, some huge companies who would have brought in items for their workers only. A number of individuals, I believe, would have observed that and feel like they got left out when they did not work for the company, see?
Cunningham said he remains confident in his staff's credibility, and while he noted that negative criticism is not new to the agency during these times, he expressed concerns that it could adversely affect potential donors.
When individuals do this kind of a thing, it could very well negatively impact the minds of those who might have planned to donate.
The Nema executive said the agency is focused on its relief efforts, which include plans to partner with local suppliers for a coupon system benefiting hurricane victims.
While the companies would be willing to do their delivery, there are persons who have their own vehicle who could pull up and collect their supplies once they have their coupon from us. And that will speed up the process in terms of ensuring that they get it quickly.
Cunningham implored the community to exercise patience at this time, noting that Nema is aware of those in serious need, but the agency requires some time before it can assist everyone. Reporting from Grand Bahama for our news, I'm Nina Lang.
Thanks, Nina. Well, Democratic National Alliance leader Bama McCartney is the latest to question government's decision to borrow $150 million for hurricane relief efforts. Calling for more details to be provided about where the money is going and how they came up with that figure, McCartney hit out at the government for lacking a clear plan. Dana Smith reports.
McCartney said this Christie administration seems to be lacking a target and just shooting in the air. He said although the Prime Minister may have walked back on his suggestion of a hurricane tax, the government's decision to borrow $150 million isn't much better.
That's a tax in itself, because who's going to have to pay that back? The Bahamian people. And they have not identified what this $150 million is going to be used for. They just came out of the blue and said $150 million for hurricane relief.
And with damage estimates totaling to more than $500 million, McCartney questioned where that $150 million figure for borrowing came from.
How did they come up with $150 million? How are they going to raise the balance of the monies that's necessary? Are they going to be accountable to the Bahamian people and transparent and honest as to where the monies have gone regarding value-added tax?
Taking note of the amount of money reported to have been collected as part of VAT, McCartney questioned why tax proceeds can assist in hurricane relief. He said it seems to him as though the government doesn't really know what it's doing.
Unfortunately, we are where we are, and this government seems to be really shooting in the air. And they don't have a target, they don't have an aim, they don't have a plan.
Members of the official opposition have also raised questions about government's intention to borrow money, voicing doubt about transparency and this administration's spending habits. McCartney said he shares those concerns, but when it comes to the opposition's call for a committee to be established to monitor government's hurricane spending, McCartney suggested maybe the F&M is as clueless as the PLP.
The official opposition ought to be aware, if they're not, because I understand that they've been asking for a special committee to be formed. Well, they have the committee. I don't understand that. The committee is the Public Accounts Committee that is chaired by the official opposition. Use it.
McCartney said it makes no sense to call for a committee to monitor spending when you already have powers at your disposal to do just that. Reporting for Our News, I'm Dana Smith.
Well, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis is calling even the thought of a hurricane tax outrageous. The opposition leader was responding to comments made by Prime Minister Perry Christie, who said earlier this week that the government may consider introducing a special tax to help finance hurricane repair and recovery efforts. Our Jasmine Brown has his candid comments in this report.
The FDM leader questioned why a hurricane tax was even considered.
Bayman people are suffering. So many people unemployed. Cost of living has increased. The poverty level has increased. The middle class has shrunken. Individuals cannot afford to pay their rent, their lights, their mortgage. In fact, they have no lights at this particular time, but they can't afford to buy food. Individuals are really stressed out at their max in terms of bills. And to try and introduce an additional tax, that's outrageous.
On Monday, Prime Minister Perry Christie told reporters the government may consider introducing a special tax to help finance Hurricane Matthew repair and recovery efforts. His remarks were made as he assessed Matthew's damage in the Marshall Road area on Monday.
You cannot tax yourself out of a crisis. You cannot. In fact, in crisis, you try to improve efficiency, and that's what the government needs to improve efficiency and collect that is due.
But Minnis says it's simply incomprehensible that the Prime Minister could even consider a hurricane tax, knowing there are thousands of Bahamians still struggling to recover.
How are you going to tax a group that's already overtaxed? Then this government has a problem with accountability and transparency. We know about accountability, transparency with the BAMSI, hiding contracts, we cannot get contracts, no bid contracts, etc. So they have a serious problem with transparency and accountability. And to try and tax a nation even further, that's maxed at its tax level. We've just been taxed at 7.5% VAT. They're talking about national insurance tax. So what other tax?
The damage caused by Hurricanes Joaquin and Matthew is estimated at $800 million, according to Prime Minister Perry Christie. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.